time for Lykken on Lending.
Welcome, everybody. Good to have you with us.
Welcome to Lykken on Lending, a weekly mortgage market update providing up-to-the-minute information on interest rates, loan programs, and hot industry news, all related to the mortgage industry. Brought to you by Transformational Mortgage Solutions. To participate in today's program, our guest call-in line is 646-716-4972. Now here's your host of Lykken on Lending, David Lykken.
Let's begin.
Listeners, I'm so excited to have Ira Rosen joining me. He's a new friend. He's a fellow gray hair. I love those of us that have got the gray hair. Ira, it's just a delight to have you join me on the podcast. Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out of your very busy day to join me.
Well, thank you, David. I was looking forward to this. I know the first time we met, we had this phenomenal conversation and, just a great exchange of ideas. And so I was looking forward to continuing that conversation today.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, especially the topic we're going to be talking about today, Ira. You're known as a motivational sales growth and business coach. You do a great job. I really want to share with our audience the principles by which you have found that are helping people be successful in this kind of market. So just for those that do not know who you are, if you could give us a little bit of an overview of your background, that would be good.
All right. Well, I've been an entrepreneur. I live here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I've been an entrepreneur for over 50 years. During that time, I've had a number of very interesting companies. And many years ago, I was the youngest new car franchise dealer in the country and had a lot of fun with that, sold that. And then after that, I had some medical weight loss centers in Minneapolis, and we helped over 10,000 people get to normal body weight. And in between, I did a lot of real estate, a lot of coaching, a lot of sales training. Today, I've got a company called Mojo Global, and we have a LinkedIn platform helping entrepreneurs monetize LinkedIn. Everybody's on there, but nobody really quite knows what to do with it. And that's where we come in and helping people grow their revenue, because it's all about growing your revenue. You're either growing as a company or you're shrinking. So I love this. I love the topics we're going to talk about today, because it really hits at the core of where all of us are at right now. Because being an entrepreneur, you've got to be a warrior. You got to be a fearless warrior. Wouldn't you agree, David?
Oh, absolutely. Fearless. And you hit on a really powerful word for me. You're either in faith or you're in fear. You're either believing in yourself, believing in something greater than yourself, hopefully, or you're living in fear and the circumstances are ruling you. And what I love about you, Ira, in our conversation, I think that's why we hit such a good groove right out of the gate. Felt like I met my brother from another mother just in our very first conversation, is because you are an overcomer. You're one of these people that just say, I love tough markets because this is where I get to show that I'm tough. That's how I feel about it. I've been almost 50 years in the mortgage industry, and we've been through numerous cycles before, but this one is particularly difficult. And I'm passionate about LinkedIn because over half of the business that I get, people connect with me. That's how you and I met, was LinkedIn. It's a powerful tool. I saw what you do, and I wanted to share it with our audience. So let's start with this. What is so different now for a business owner to not only survive, but thrive in this new digital world? There's many out there, Ira, that are dabbling in it or playing around in it, but they're not having the success that you are, nor are those that you're coaching. Talk about that, please.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, David. So here's the thing. LinkedIn is an amazing place. What you've got to look at is there's almost 1 billion people on LinkedIn. Every second, 2 people sign up. It's an incredible platform. It's based on trust. It's a business platform. And look at it this way, the wealth of the world is on LinkedIn. If you're B2B, you've got to be on there. Now, here's the challenge. Everyone is on there, but very, very few people know how to monetize it. They get a lot of connections. I talked to a guy the other day, he had 15,000 connections. And because he wasn't quite sure what to say or how to do it, nobody likes to make mistakes as entrepreneurs. So he never has messaged anybody. It's sort of like meeting a young lady and calling her 2 years later. Rather than sending her roses every couple of weeks, so you got to be top of mind. So what we do is the big thing is and we're going to talk a little bit about this down the road here, but it's all about getting people off of LinkedIn onto a calendar. And your
Mhm.
calendar, I'm really passionate about, the calendar, because the calendar is a litmus test of how good your marketing is, how effective it is,
Interesting.
or not. Because think about it, you could do 10 different things on social media, but if you've got an empty calendar, the calendar doesn't lie. It is what it is. It's just
Right.
like you look at your bank account and you go, wait a minute, that's impossible. That can't be correct. And then you call the bank and you look through your statements, say, yeah, I guess that's correct. Or you get on a scale after COVID and you go, that's impossible. The
I've never
scale,
weighed that much before.
that, everyone's done that, said that can't be, but your calendar doesn't lie. It's
So
a
let's
direct.
Yeah, let's get into that, Ira, because I agree. It's a direct reflection of your activity. And if you, in my calendar, I shared it with you, it is jam packed. You say, Dave, you have all that? Well, I color code it. I literally color code who are clients, who are prospects. And I look at the amount of time I'm spending prospecting in a market such as this, because there is some reduction in the business, just naturally speaking. Fortunately, we're counter-cyclical. So we actually, I think you said that you're the same way. We actually do better in these kind of markets because everyone's searching for solutions. And then we do well in the good markets, but we even do better in these kind of markets. But it's really important that you use this tool, which really gets to this new game that we find ourselves. New game, new rules. What are they?
Well, first of all, great question. And by the way, I got a comment on our last conversation. Very, very few people reference their calendar the way you did, the way you time block it, you color code it.
Yes.
That puts you in that top 1%. And that's why you've had the success that you've had. And I just want to touch on one thing. 80% of our day is non-revenue producing. It comes right out of the 4-hour work week, that book. So the trick is, how do you flip it around so 80% of your day becomes productive? So your question again was, David,
Was
about
the
rules?
again, it's the new rules, and there's a new game out there. Social media is a big part of it. And thanks for commenting about the LinkedIn. I just take it my calendar, I take it so for granted that the way I do things, for me, I'm very visual. I want to see it on my calendar. I want to see it color coded. I want to be able to scan my color.
Right.
How much time am I spending, busy work, administrative stuff? I have people that work with me. It's a wonderful team out of the Philippines. I love these people. They're very good at what they do. But why am I spending time doing administrative stuff when I've hired them to be doing it? So I see that. I have that on a kind of a purplish color on here. That leaps out at me. If I got too much of that, I mean, my balance isn't right. When I look at all my client works, obviously clients have got to come, should be number one, take care of what you have. There was this old saying that says, make new friends, keep the old. One is silver, the other is gold. I think finding new clients, new friends, new relationships, I'm so thrilled I found you, is it helps us really focus on what's so important. So that calendar is really something. I don't want to move off of that too quickly, because maybe that's something we should focus on. What do you do in your coaching to help people get their calendar in a way that's going to turn their profitability or their productivity to 80% results? How do you do that? How do you get them to do that?
Yeah, great question. So I want everybody to write down. I'm going to give you 3 numbers, 10, 20. I'm going to give you a formula here, that $1 million formula. And the numbers are 2, 10, 40, 2, 10, 40. And what you want to be able to do, and this is good, this applies to most businesses. If you're a solo entrepreneur or a smaller company, it wouldn't necessarily apply to Coca-Cola, but maybe on a larger scale. So what you really want to have is, you want to get in front of 2 people a day on a Zoom call or face-to-face. I like Zoom better because you can cover way more ground. So 2 people a day, 10 a week, 40 a month. Now, if you're talking to 40, qualified prospects, or people at least have intent and have the capacity to become a client, you're doing business. Because if you're closing at 20%, which is sort of the average, you're picking up 8 clients. If you're closing at 10%, you're at least picking up 4 clients. Now, if you talk to 40 people a month, that's equivalent to 500 people in a year. So that's the metric that's got to be. I'm really highly disciplined when it comes to that one metric. That's
really good.
It's
Yeah.
like non-negotiable. And I preach this like crazy. Now, when you start off, that, you might not evolve to that, but that, get there right away, but it's something you want to strive towards. And so what we do, our companies, we help people realize those metrics, because if you're in front of 2 people a day, 10 a week, you're making money. Now, I tell people, let's say it's Monday morning, you look at your calendar and all you see is white space for the whole week, except you got one lonely appointment on Friday, and you're thinking they might not even show up. So now you've got a blank calendar. And what happens is, as entrepreneurs, you go 2-3 days with nobody on your calendar. You've got this stress, you've got this anxiety, you start second guessing yourself, self-doubt. And what happens is that anxiety takes over, that negative self-talk, and then all of a sudden it's the downward spiral. And rather than flipping it around where it's Monday, like yourself, David, and myself, like on Monday, I was booked out every hour except for a couple hours through Friday at the end of the day. So I say to myself, wow, this is going to be an awesome week. I'm expecting success. I know it's going to happen. I'm in abundance, not scarcity or fear. And it's, I've set myself up for success, because there's only 3 things you really need to do well as an entrepreneur right now. Only 3. Number 1, get your calendar full, 2-10-40. Number 2, close the deal. If it's a fit and you want to come from a place of service, solving a problem, you want to be able to help them. If it's not a fit, you're not for everybody, that's okay. And then number 3, make sure that client has a great experience and turn them into a referral partner. So that's really it, those 3 things. Now, there's many, many other things that fall under that, but those are the 3 things that are going to actually, make you money and grow revenue. So that's at the core of, we could talk about 100 different things about business, but when you boil it all down, it really is the calendar. And it is the other, wouldn't you agree, David?
I absolutely agree. And not only is it the calendar, but it's also the quality of your calendar. So first of all, start working on getting it, talking to people, fill it up with calls. I'm thinking of several people. Number 1, there's a number of people unemployed right now that are listening to this podcast. They're in fear. What can I do to find a job? We're having a significant layoffs, and there's going to be another round of layoffs coming up. It's going to start here in October, and we're going to see another round or 2 of layoffs. It's only going to get worse when it comes to that. So but yet there's jobs out there. So I'm speaking to you that are unemployed right now, and I'm saying, listen to this. And then it's, who are you talking to? So how do you coach? I have the different systems. We have Modex, and as well as Mobility, MMI, for those loan originators or companies that are looking to find the most target rich environment to be connecting with. And then it's, what is your message when you connect with them? And we had Jessica Peterson on. She says, Dave, and she's a realtor, very successful realtor. And she was saying, David, the biggest problem that's going on there is people are calling me saying, give me business, give me business. They're not adding any value. Why do I want to spend take time to talk to someone who doesn't have a message of helping me with my business? Zig Ziglar said, I'm on a soapbox here. Sorry, Ira. So jump on it.
Love it.
Zig Ziglar once says, how you become successful is helping someone else get it. How do you get what you want is by helping someone else get what they want. And I think those are the principles. So talk about, how do you coach people to start talking to the right people, not just a number, but the right number?
Right. Well, first of all, you've got to get really clear, on who you're going after, because
who's your target? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the most powerful thing in the universe is a mind that's focused, and clear, and you have got to have the clarity. And so what you've got to do is
I want to circle that. I want to somehow boldly, that is such a good point. And people miss that. Say that again and put a little coaching around that this time, Ira.
Okay. So clarity is everything, because clarity is a cousin to focus. And, he who is the most focused will always win. So when you get really clear on what you want, and you've got to get still with yourself and spend some time on it. Don't just look at it and spend 2 minutes, but really lean into that and get clear on what that is and visualize it, and then put together a game plan. Who is that I want to go after? What does that person look like? What's that avatar? Where do I go? What are the obstacles to get to that person or to that industry? List all those obstacles. What are the things I got to battle and fight through? Then over in the next column, what are the solutions? What are the things that I need to do with discipline that's going to get me there? Then from there, you've got a game plan that you can trust. Then once you have that game plan, then you've got to commit. And when I mean commit, I mean commit. You make a contract with yourself. It's non-negotiable. And this is where discipline comes in. Gandhi once said, an undisciplined mind is a mind that suffers. And
Yes.
so, do the hard things, life is easy. Do the easy things, life is hard. And so I'm gonna get into something we haven't talked about before. So you've got, the parent, the adult, and child within all of us.
Yes.
And
Really
a lot
good.
of times,
I love this.
and the child is the one that has fun. Like you and I, our child's connected when we talk. So you got parent, adult. Right now, it's adult to adult. When you're talking to two people and you're talking about just reality and everything, but child is the one that likes to, go to a concert, have fun. They get mad, glad, sad. They love to spend money. They get very emotional. But here's the thing: when your child takes over, and you want it, as an example, if you got an empty calendar and you decide, I tell people, when you got an empty calendar, your house is on fire. So rather than put the fire out, I'm going to go get my car washed. I'm going to mow the lawn. I think I'm going to go on Facebook. I think I'm going to call my friends up. I'm going to take the day off. The child is taken over. And it's like you've got the inmates running the asylum. So what you really want to do is you've got to parent yourself. This is where discipline comes in, and your discipline muscle, it is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And so, so really you've got PDF, persistence, discipline, focus. Harvard did a study on this. It's the number one reason why 24 to 38% of businesses are gone within 3 years. That's a crazy stat. Only 4% make it to year 10. So the underlying reason is they give up too soon. They get a couple, they don't have the passion. They're not relentless. And what happens is they get a couple obstacles. They go, oh, well, and they cave. And so it's all about, ask yourself, what would Kobe Bryant do? What would LeBron James do if they get into a really difficult situation? These guys are they're beasts. They battle through it. And so that's really the mindset you've got to have as an entrepreneur. You've got to be a warrior. You've got to be tough, and you've got to really parent yourself and say, you know what? Your self-talk has got to be, damn it, I can do this, and I'm going to do this, and here's my game plan. And come hell or high water, from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to sleep. Michael Phelps was in the pool for 5 years every day, up to 8 hours a day in the pool. And he said, if I took one day off, I knew it would take me 2 days to catch up. So
I love the PDF. I love that again. That's an acronym. You gave us a new reason for that. What's that acronym again?
Yeah, PDF, persistence, discipline, focus.
And focus. I love that. I love that. That's good. I'll give you credit for the first 2 times I used it. After that, I'll take that. I'll use it as if I appreciate it. Listeners, you can kind of get why Ira and I got along so well from our very first conversation. It's just, I love what is being talked to you here. There's times we as our adult self have to take our inner child for a walk and put it in a timeout. And I think that's such a hard thing for people to do. Well, we've come off such a good, fun season. We've had a daycare season, folks, a season where it's just low interest rates. Anyone in this business could be successful if you just answer your freaking phone. But we're in a new game, and it requires new rules. You talked about LinkedIn. There's also another thing, which is really your network. And what I want to get into is talking about, you make a statement, And I'm going to ask it as a question so you can make the statement is it true? Your network is your net worth. If so, why and what is it that is most efficient way to go about that? I kind of slaughtered the question, but
No, that was
that's
great.
the question. Okay, listeners, he provided me that question. I think it's a really great statement, though, Ira, and that is, our network is our net worth. So, how do you coach around this?
Okay, so your network really is your network. Now, I'm talking because that's your universe. So the bigger your network becomes, and I'm talking about people that the right people. I mean, people that you could that are in alignment with you, people that need your services, people that you can help, people that you can lift up. And as this grows, every time you add someone to your network, that's why I love LinkedIn, because you can add thousands of people to your network in a very brief amount of time. That would take you years and years. But every time you add someone, there's a dollar amount attached to that one person.
Oh, good.
I call it social capital. And the more social capital, I'll give you an example. One of the people that on the planet that has probably, Queen Elizabeth, you talk about massive social capital. I mean, the whole globe mourned for this amazing woman. Oprah Winfrey, and the whole world knows she has this amazing network of people around the world. So ask yourself, how big really is your network? And so you want to be able to get it up to, more is more, 2, 3, 4, 5,000, 10,000 people, but not just a bunch of names, but people that really know you, like you, and trust you. And how do you do that? You want to be in front of that network all the time. You talked about, service. You want to give them information, things that are valuable, interesting, that they're going to find intriguing, and something they get in their inbox and they go, wow, I like that a lot. Then they're waiting for the next thing that comes from you. And we all have the capacity to do that. And what happens is, over a period of time, you're building up this magical word called trust. And right now, trust is the new currency. People have to trust you, because if they don't trust you, they can like you, but if they don't trust you, they're not going to do business with you. So you want to build this network up. An example is, let's say you throw a big party, David, and you spend a lot of money on the facility, the food, great food, catering. You got this amazing band, and nobody shows up. It's like, how did that happen? And you realize, I didn't have a guest list.
It's amazing. There's a great story I once read on that, and they forgot to send out the guest list, and they were so crushed that no one showed up for their party. And they go, which talks about a bit of a process. I mean, you're talking about a discipline, you talk about the PDF, but then that's really in the discipline and in having processes that are built around the discipline to make sure you effectively accomplish what you're really seeking to accomplish. We could go on and on about the network, and that's one of the powers of the LinkedIn profile or the LinkedIn network is your network, but it's how are you speaking and communicating in that network? We obviously offer a podcast. We're giving a lot of great information out. One of my favorite books is Servant Leadership. It was published by Ken Blanchard and Hodges. And these guys really nailed it when it comes to this. How can people best connect? And I know it's adding value, but coach people how to do that right now, real quickly, Ira.
Yeah, I mean, number one, Dale Carnegie said it best many years ago. He said, the sweetest sound in anyone's ears is their own name. And so every time you say, you could be in a crowded room that's very, very noisy, very, very noisy, and you could hardly hear anything, but you would hear two things. Number one is if someone called your name out, you would hear that. Number two, if you're in immediate danger, you would hear that as well. So the name is very powerful. Also, the power of the compliment. Okay, people are hungry for that, for compliment. Who is it? Mark Twain said, "I could live 2 weeks on a really good compliment," which is the thing about it. Now, neuroscientists, I get excited about this stuff. Neuroscientists say that when you give someone a sincere compliment, it's equivalent, the brain reacts, the neurotransmitters and the dopamine, it reacts the same way if you were to give someone cash. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that
So
amazing? Yeah.
yeah. So every time you give someone a compliment, you go, oh wow, thank you. And so the brain triggers, because every thought we have is
Right.
followed by a brain chemical. But when you give people
This is so good.
a compliment, it's a trigger. It's a trigger that releases this amazing dopamine that makes people feel good, which brings us to the next thing is about building, how do you connect with these people? How do you make people feel? That's one of your superpowers. You make people feel awesome. And so ask yourself, how do people feel like when I get done communicating with them? Do I leave them in a better place? Do they feel better? Have I inspired them? Have I lifted them up? Have I given them something that is of value? Are they going to remember me? Those kinds of things. But it's how do you make people feel? Dale Carnegie said this years ago. He said and this stuck with me. I was a young guy, and I remember this. And he said, when you meet someone, picture the words across their forehead that read, "Please make me feel important."
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. There's such a powerful message in it. It's a powerful principle, and it will help anyone who will just really understand that. I want to add to that a little bit what you're saying, and then get a comment on this. I'm a vocal major, so I did not major in business. I've made it in finance now nearly 50 years, which is a bit of a miracle in and of itself. But what I'm finding is I listen to voices. And what I think is so important, everyone argues, well, everybody's saying that, but they're not hearing it from your voice. There's something about the voice. Your vocal cord is like your fingerprint, like your iris. There's no one else that has your voice print. And it's like a frequency on a radio, Ira. So I'm going to make this statement. I want to get your thoughts in on this, because again, this is you and I feeding each other on our passions. I love brain science. And one of the brain sciences is frequencies, and your brain works in a frequency pattern. When you speak, there is an audience that will respond to your voice, listener, that no one else will. I don't care if they're singing the same song, messaging out the same words. When it comes authentically from yourself with your voice, it's going to have a frequency and a resonance that is going to connect with people and connect you with your audience. Don't fight. Don't try to imitate. And let's talk about authenticity, because that's one thing. Clarity is such an important point. How important it is when you're on LinkedIn to be authentic and have your voice heard, that frequency. How important is that, Ira?
Oh, it's everything, because there's certain ground rules on LinkedIn. What you don't want to do is show up and, like, if you ever been to a networking event and someone walks up to you, don't even know them, they give you a card, they immediately start trying to pitch you and sell you. It's a turnoff. So on LinkedIn, a great way to start is, question-based messaging. Get their perspective. People like to talk about what they think and what they feel and get their advice. And you want to get a conversation going. And,
Yes.
They say that, he who talks the least makes the most. So get people talking about their favorite subject themselves. Yeah. And so, and you want to be truly interested. In order to be interesting, you've got to be interested in what that person's saying. I mean, really, you want to have the curiosity of a 5-year-old. So really, tell me more about that. Why is that important? How long have you been doing that? You're kidding.
Why?
Yes. And so just all of a sudden now, what happens is people are magnetically drawn to you. They don't even know why, maybe, but they're drawn to you because you're making them feel good. But you're right about voice. Voice is everything, because your tonality tells a story. I mean, Tony Robbins talks about 55% of our communication is nonverbal body language. 38% is tonality of your voice. And 7% or 8% are the actual words. So, which then you get into energy. Energy is everything. So when you're talking to somebody, just a little tip for anybody that's out there, if you're selling somebody on yourself to hire you, your energy needs to be higher than the person you're communicating with. If it's lower, it's not going to work out in your favor, but it's always got to be higher, because everything is about energy and vibration. And that's really the secret of the universe.
You've hit on so many interesting topics that we could make a whole podcast series for a year on, Ira. And that's really important. What's so important is you're speaking from many, many, many years of experience. And it's us, those of us that have the gray hairs that can help the younger generation. And that's what you're committed to. That's what I'm committed to, is helping the next generation up. How can people learn more about you, Ira? What websites? What's the best way for them to learn more about Ira? I know people are going to follow up on this one.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, you can go. Our website is mojoglobal.com.
Mojo Global. That just makes me smile. That name, yeah. mojoglobal.com.
And you can go in there and then you can book an appointment. It has it shows all the different people that we've worked with. We won Marketer of the Year through the Phoenix Business Journal. We've helped. Right now we're working with Mark Cuban on a big Shark Tank project. We've worked with Grant Cardone, a lot of speakers, people all over the globe. We've got clients in 50 countries, but my direct email is ira@mojoglobal.com. I'd love to hear from you if you got a question, a comment, we get a conversation going. But what I love is working with people that are highly motivated, because if I care more than they do, it's not a fit. I want people that are in it to win it. I love working with and helping serious entrepreneurs that are on a mission, that are relentless for success. And that's the only option. So those are the people that we really love working with, and my team.
Yep. I can see why people are attracted to you. I certainly am from the very first moment. And we connected listeners on LinkedIn. Don't underestimate the power of this. Ira Rosen, my new friend, I am so honored and blessed to have you on this podcast. I can't wait to spend more time with you. We will be having you back and sharing your wisdom and knowledge. And we'll just get on here and talk about what makes it work. I think there's so much that comes out of both of us, and it fits so well. We're so complementary in what we do. Appreciate you, Ira Rosen. Thank you for being here.
David, it was a pleasure, and thank you, and keep up the awesome work and being a steward for today's entrepreneur and everyone else that's out there to elevate what they're doing. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, Ira. It's an honor to get to know you. It doesn't matter how old you are. I'm consulting to a 98-year-old. That tells you we don't have to quit. We got a lot of years, a lot of road ahead of us, Ira. So let's keep going and make a difference. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. Appreciate you.
You've been listening to Lykken on Lending, a weekly mortgage market update with your host, David Lykken of Transformational Mortgage Solutions. Join us next week, and thanks for listening.